Hello and good evening. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA newsletter market update for Monday, the 9th of December. Yesterday, I talked about the potential for a pretty big move coming up. We now have the daily chart into, this thing is pretty coiled up. We don't usually get peaks that are too much bigger than this before they start to move. So you can see maybe, just maybe, this flag is starting to break down a little bit. Got to get this thing below about 7,100 before we can take this move seriously. There's about another hour to go before we're going to start to print a new candle. This is not exactly dropping out like a stone. If we go down to the hourly chart, yeah, we can start to see a little bit of movement, a little bit more volatility and volume showing up around the trend line as we would expect to see. Notice also this is a good example of, at least on the hourly chart, a bearish engulfing pattern. Price ended up going higher and got just completely, slammed to the mat, if you will. So if this is going to break down, I would expect to see a little bit more velocity, a little bit more volume coming in to show people panicking as the price breaks down. But no panic, just sort of a drift lower at this point. So we'll keep an eye on this one and see how she goes. Now, if we were going to scalp trade this, the way that I typically look at these things is, first of all, I want to trade in the direction of the anchor chart swing, which is just now starting to unfurl to the downside. Again, like I said, no real velocity, but just starting to unfurl at this point. So if we look at this 5X chart, which is the hourly chart in the middle here, we're definitely starting to trend to the downside, although it's in exhaustion right now. So I can't take any signals to the downside until this does chop around a little bit and work off this exhaustion level that we're seeing at this point. So once it does, then we can take the next hook to the downside. You can see that this hook to the downside is just not releasing. And that's because there's just no energy here. So you can see that this hook actually did release because it did have at least a little bit of energy left. So you can see this release, but right now this one is just not releasing. So I would expect to see this kind of chop around in this area, maybe even, go up a little bit to retest the latest breakdown area at about 72.45, and watching this build up again. And then again, we're going to look for the next hook to the downside. Now, if for some reason we start to see the price raise up and start to print green candles, then we're probably just stuck in the larger flag once again. So again, this is not really a good break just yet. Don't really have much good volume in this area. Might be worth a try in the next 5X energy peak to see if we can catch a hook to the downside, but watch it carefully. If it doesn't release, then we'll probably end up seeing higher prices within this flag maybe one more time before we get the real release, and then this thing starts to unclog itself and starts to move again. We should see movement any day now based on the amount of energy at that daily chart. That's it for today's report. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.